best to start it. I've got my whiskey, which I am running very low on, though I'm going to Dad's tomorrow to visit and pick up all the liquor that he promised me.
Especially we might see you there.
Yeah, especially that very expensive bottle that I bought him for Father's Day, that Oban.
And he hasn't touched it?
Oh no, he's had it a little bit over the years, but I mean he still has it. That was years ago I bought that for him.
Oh.
You want to know how much that bottle cost?
Enough that you're willing to take it back.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like $180 bottle. It's good. And I can't wait to have it. It's so good.
It's going to be gone in a week.
No, that one is actually going to last a long time. I'm going to make sure it kind of just... I'm going to refill my whiskey that I usually buy. Well, not usually buy. I've been buying like different kinds of whiskey to kind of broaden my horizons of whiskey. And then I will put that one kind of, in the back, take it out for special occasions, that sort of thing. Because that is a very expensive bottle and I don't want it going anywhere.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Indubitably so.
Yeah, you can't get that high anymore. At least for now.
Well, gee there, buddy.
Indubitably.
Don't test me. I've got a vocal range.
Damn. What the fuck are we doing? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel and the GPhorce podcast. I'm your host, Adam Wolf, and with me, as always, is my sounding very sick, but not actually sick brother, Chris. Hello, sir.
Yo. Hello.
Yo ho. It's been over a year since the actual, last actual numbered podcast that we recorded. You guys probably saw the intermission of a podcast that we recorded, which was the Game Awards for 2025. But episode 5 is not out yet, but we recorded that back in September of 2024. And, 2025 was a great year for gaming. We just, a lot had happened. And I'm sure that Chris, of course, would be okay with this, no doubt. But I would like to take this moment to let everybody know that this episode and future and all episodes of this podcast will be dedicated to our mother, who recently passed away in October. And that was a tough thing. Obviously, we've never experienced anything like it before. We've lost pets, we've lost grandparents, but it's something different when you lose a parent. And I think we handle it in the best way that we could, that we each one of us knew how. And so we'd like to dedicate this and every subsequent podcast from here on out to our mother.
Certainly.
May she be happy once and for all.
Yes. And pain-free.
And pain-free. That's always a good thing. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about quite a few things because a lot has happened in just the last couple weeks.
Oh my God, yeah.
Or not even just to mention the last month, which is kind of insane. I think the biggest thing that, of course, you and I are both just baffled by is PlayStation's shutting down Bluepoint.
Oh
which
my
is
God.
What I don't and I think this coincides with the fact that they also announced that they're scaling back the PC ports of their games, which, to be fair, they had this bullshit idea to have it exclusive to the PlayStation for an entire year, and then they release it on PC when nobody gives a shit. So it's like, well, that makes, obviously you're going to have to scale it back because you don't care, even though the games do well.
Yeah, well, I have some thoughts around this. The scaling back on the PC, if you really think about it, Xbox is all but out of the picture, right? They just teased their new future console, Helix. No one knows anything beyond its name. There's speculation that it is representative of play Xbox Anywhere movement, which was from the now gone. I don't remember what her name was or what her title was, but she was there right next to Phil Spencer.
Sarah Bond.
Yeah, that was her initiative,
Mhm.
was to play Xbox Everywhere. Helix, under the new leadership, seems to still be going in that way, but still in console form. I don't know. There's still not enough known there. But with Xbox all but pretty much out of the console war at this point, and Nintendo being so focused on family friendliness and their restrictiveness around access beyond Nintendo platforms, why would PlayStation want to then go and compete against a powerhouse like Steam? Steam already has thousands, hundreds of thousands available. What would Sony have to gain by going that route and lose out the opportunity to sell hardware at the same time?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with Steam, is that, when they release their games on Steam, they have to pay Valve a percentage in order to do that. Valve still gets a cut, and I'm sure Sony doesn't want to pay that anymore.
Numbers are also out showing that there was little sales growth of their titles on PC.
I
keep saying thank you, PC. God, get it together, man. The sales don't seem to have been exponential enough to justify all the extra effort. They still got reasonable sales, but it wasn't enough, I suppose, to justify the extra work, which requires extra pay for the teams. And it also, this conversation around their attention to PC adaptations kind of also involves the discussion around Bluepoint. Now, what I understand, and I could be wrong on this, so correct me if I am, because I didn't follow this very, very closely until recently. There was, Bluepoint, prior to Sony actually claiming them as their own, they were already recreating games, and a lot of them seem to be Sony titles. So the acquisition of them could have been a consequence of selfishness on Sony's part to avoid another company acquiring them and losing the opportunity. Now, Bluepoint, as you know better than I, they have never made their own IP.
Yep. And that's basically the crux of the situation. They of course are probably the most known for Demon's Souls remake, which was phenomenal, and the Shadow of the Colossus remake, which was phenomenal. They just did amazing work, and it all was predominantly for Sony. But the problem is that they brought it up to Sony many times, apparently, that they wanted to do something original, because they didn't really, as a studio, I guess, want to just be the remake studio. The ones that was their only thing that they did, even though they did it really well. And that was something that Sony just said no to, and they slapped them onto a God of War live service game, which was like, are you retarded? Why would you take a studio that's not known for doing that and just say, hey, help us with this ridiculous idea of 12 live service games? And it's like,
what other developer have they done that with?
I don't know.
They tried to do that with Naughty Dog.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you remember they were trying to push this whole live service, genre of video games onto companies that didn't need or have never done it. And so studios have been closing down left and right because all of a sudden we're beyond the live service. It's single player, it's good experiences, it's good writing. This is just a recent phenomenon where DEI is all but dead. They're still around, they're just not as involved anymore. Now they're getting rid of all these DEI critters that have been infesting the development cycles. The live service is failing. So they're going to shift again. Oh, we're for the players. Well, Bluepoint, since they don't have since they don't have their own IP, they've only made remakes. And because they weren't equipped to make a live service, Sony has essentially said, well, it's a little bit of dead weight. We don't have any plans for you, so goodbye.
Which is such a an awful thing to see, just because of the fact that they acquired them essentially for no reason at that point.
Yeah,
they made
selfishness to prevent other people from acquiring them.
Right,
that's
right.
what I've come to understand.
Well, it's not a bad conclusion to make given how they were treated, but it doesn't. I don't understand. And Herman Hulst, he might have been good for Guerrilla Games. He's a fucking idiot. Like, what is up with that guy? Like, is he just following the Jim Ryan handbook? Like, are you like, what is wrong with you?
If nothing else, keep Bluepoint because they were favored amongst the fans.
Right.
You want to gain good favor from your clientele. Keep a developer that actually has a good reputation and is well respected amongst players.
Yeah. And, we're still yet to see a couple of other live service titles from them, one of which is Fair Games, but I like the way Luke Stevens says it, Fair Game $, which is hilarious. But I mean, who the hell even looks at that and says, oh, man, I got to play that? We don't even know what it is. Yeah. We have no idea what it is. It looks ridiculous. The premises around it is people stealing money from big corporations. And it's like, wow, that's ironic because that game is going to do nothing but make you tons of money if it does, which it won't. But I've been wrong before. Concord. So this is not a good look for Sony. I don't think it's really going to hurt their bottom line in terms of the way that we act with their products. I think those of us who are in the PlayStation ecosystem, myself and you, and many other people, we're just going to be looking out for the good single player experiences that they have promised us, especially in the most recent state of play, which was fantastic. It was a really well done state of play. I'm very excited for like 95% of what they showed. But it doesn't mean that we're going to just ignore their transgressions here. Like, this is a terrible move for them, and I might love PlayStation to a ridiculous degree. I love their hardware, I love their peripherals, I love their gadgets. I have a myriad of devices from them. PlayStation is my life, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to critique them for the dumb shit that they do. And this is a really dumb thing to close down such a prominent studio that, like you said, they acquired to make them things. Now they will make nothing. And it just doesn't make sense.
It's really sad because, well, it's sad because people are losing their jobs. It's sad because a good developing team is no longer around. The developers are still around. It's not like PlayStation lined them up and shot them, right? So they're going to be picked up by another group at some point, or they might just reunify under a different name, and everybody will recognize their work. But it's the pattern that we're starting to see. The pattern of acquiring, having so much bloat, and then sooner or later not finding things for them to do, and then deleting them, essentially. Bluepoint could have saved so many other developers time, money, other resources to remake older titles for them and allow the original developer to work on a new game. And Bluepoint could have picked up all the remakes, could have picked up all this other stuff. They may hate it. They may hate the idea and be like, we still want to make an IP. But at least they would have been useful, and they would have continued to garner players' favor. They misutilized a fantastic developer. And we see this again and again. Like, again, the Naughty Dog multiplayer for Last of Us. Now we have, oh my God, I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I didn't get the hype before. The story's catching me. The arrow, the bow and arrow gameplay is
good. It's really good.
It's really good. And I like that it helps you a little bit. You don't have to be so precise, but it's got some assistance there, and I appreciate that. It makes the gameplay flow. But we look at Guerrilla and look at what they're doing with that IP.
Yeah, Hunter's Gathering.
It is okay. I don't want to say it's atrocious because we've only seen a little bit of it. And it's going to ruin the brand, and it's going to ruin Guerrilla. It's not going to look good for Guerrilla. When you downgrade the quality of the graphics, I don't care what you say, if it's thematically cool. No, Horizon already had an identity, and they've completely changed it. I would be okay with the graphical style change. What really pissed me off was the fantasy-based elements of the flare, right? All these different pieces of equipment, all the sparkles and shiny, colorful lights that coming off weapons, and it's Monster Hunter. It just looks like Monster Hunter with a different skin. That is not what Horizon was. It's just not its identity. They've completely shifted away. If they had it a more serious tone, rather than a big Bertha with a potato head, and this stupid watercolor thematic thing with all these sparkles and doodads, and this guy that looks like who's this skater in Overwatch? What's his name? Starts with an L. Lucio.
That's Lucio, yeah.
There's a guy in there that reminds me of Lucio. It's like these aren't Horizon characters. I'm only close to 20 hours through Horizon Zero Dawn. You could see there's a complete identity shift with this new one, and this is the direction that Sony is taking. A lot of their developers who are just single player developers. They develop single player games, and you're trying to change what they do. It's nonsense, and it's going to ruin them.
Yeah, and a lot of people are looking at this, and it's being compared a lot to Dauntless, which
I see that.
I didn't realize. Obviously, we've not seen any gameplay of this game yet, but that's relatively the idea. I didn't realize Dauntless got shut down. I thought that game was doing well. I don't know what happened, but if this doesn't shift in its tone, at least in some of the character designs, and y'all know who we're talking about, the only one that's completely the odd one out, it's not really going to go anywhere because nobody asked for this. Guerrilla was already losing players because of Forbidden West. People liked it at first, and then all the little things about that game started to come out, like making Aloy gay, just because, like, what the hell, man? What the hell is going on? And like you said, all the DEI bullshit is starting to take a back seat to real gaming again, but it's taking its time getting itself out the door. And so it would be nice to see this shift a little bit more drastically, because Horizon has a following. It's not a massive IP, so it doesn't really have a lot of room to play around like this, and they're playing around a little too close to the fire here. So if they want people to like this Hunter's Gathering game, get rid of the fat bitch, okay? Nobody wants to see that character in the game. And I'm sick of people dancing around words here. She's fat and ugly. Let's just fucking call it what it is.
She's got a potato head. Her head, the proportion. If you look at the proportions, simply just go watch Hunter's Gathering. Watch some of the clips. Look at some of the still frames. Go to Google, type it in, look at the images. The proportions are shit. They look cartoony. Horizon is set in a post-apocalyptic world where machines and AI, oh wow, sounds a little like real life, is taking over or has taken over, and it's forced people. It's real people. You see real people from different cultures, different colors, different sizes, but they're all proportionately accurate. You look at the stupid Hunter's Gathering, and it just pisses me off because it completely obliterates the idea and turns them into Looney Tunes.
And not only that, but she's like one of the fastest characters on the team. She's supposed to be a tank, but she moves that fast. That makes absolutely no sense.
She can't even see the gun that she's holding or the bow that she's holding because her head is so small and set so far back she can't see around her tits or belly, and you can't even figure out where. Like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. And
if it was and I'm telling you right now, if it was a guy, that would make more sense. And I'm sorry to say, but fat chicks are not attractive. I will say that I have found some bigger girls in my personal life to be somewhat attractive because they take care of themselves, but for the most part, they're not attractive. I'm sorry. So, let's get real people.
If it were proportionate, if there were proper proportions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about heavy set. We're talking this person is the bottom part of a snowman in the middle, and then you have a piece of coal of that snowman as her head, and 2 twigs as her legs. This is not a proportionate person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have a heavy chick in a game. You can.
Yeah.
And you might even be like, wow, they're actually pretty attractive for a heavy chick. But they're still heavy. It's still representative. But the problem is there's no proportion here. There's no realism, which is what Horizon was based on.
And apparently she had diabetes because now she's got a metal leg. So it's God. What the hell is that? They're trying to, let's do representation for who?
Let's put a person with a wheelchair into the game too, just for shits and giggles. Let's just put a wheelchair person. You know what? Let's put a quadriplegic. Let's put a quadriplegic with no legs, and let's take away their arms too. They shoot with their teeth and their crotch.
They did do that in Hades too. With it was but
that's Hades.
The Greek god. Their blacksmith. I can't remember. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but it's basically the same idea with that, where it's just like Hephaestus. There we go. And I looked that up. I'm like, since when was Hephaestus in a wheelchair? And I guess in some tellings he is kind of. Or he can be. I don't know. It's really strange. But they put him in a wheelchair in that game, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. He's a god. Like, why?
Yeah. Why would he just heal himself?
Yeah. Why would he need to be in a wheelchair? They're immortal.
Can I grow legs?
It's just weird.
That work.
So, needless to say,
I just want to make it known that I don't have issue with quote unquote representation of different sizes.
Nobody does.
Colors. I don't have issue with that. I have issue with fucking with IPs. You have a particular theme that is set for something that comes out that is favored by many, and then you go and change the formula. Don't do that. Just don't do it. Make something completely different. Take it out of the Horizon world. If you want Guerrilla to make a multiplayer game that has similar mechanics to Horizon, or if you want any other developer that is primarily single player game based developers to make a multiplayer game, do not use an existing IP. Use something else. I know they want to build off of hype from the Horizon platform, the Horizon IP. I get it, but you're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin it, and then every other game after that is going to flop, and it's going to be followed up with criticism because of this. And it's so bad that even the Guerrilla developers had to say, we just want to let you know we're still going to make single player games. This is not going to be our life. Like, if you have developers having to come out and say that just to protect themselves, you're putting them in a really bad spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of sounds almost one-to-one to people putting a disclaimer at the beginning of a video before they feel like they're going to offend somebody. Like, just say what you got to say. Quit putting a disclaimer at the front of it. Be like, just want everybody to know I don't hate black people, but, and it's just like, and then he says something that, is just an objective truth or something like that, or stereotypical, and everybody loses their mind. It's like, yeah, like that's just the way it is.
Yeah. The developers right now are promoting, Guerrilla's promoting Horizon, Hunter's Gathering while holding a help us sign.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're doing. They're saying, don't hate us, please don't hate us. Don't hate us, please. We love you guys. We want to continue to make, please don't hate us. They have the help me sign. They were being held hostage. And this was I'm surprised they were even allowed to put that video out of the guy saying, now disclaimer, we're still going to be making single player games. Like, I'm surprised they allowed that to go out because it was a cry for help.
Yeah.
To all the players. It was a clear indication that they are being forced into doing this. It wasn't a creative interest. They were not sitting there. Okay, I don't know this really, but I have reasonable suspicion that the fact that when someone says we're still going to be making single player games, that is an indicative of the fact that they didn't want to do it in the first place.
Right. And and that's just basic pattern recognition. We have been fed this nonsense for the last 5 years, all this nonsense of like, oh yeah, well, we want to do this. Like, no, you don't. This is not what Sony is meant to do. It's not what they're known for. So why are you okay with this? Why are studios okay with just saying, sure, boss, why not? Why can't you push back on this and be like, this is not what we're looking to make. We didn't want to make this. And if they fire you, at least you stood on your ground. You stood your ground and said, this is not what I like to make. This isn't me. But, companies are just too scared.
You know what might happen? And what might happen is exactly what was happening in Ubisoft when they started having a power shift. And they finally brought back people who actually know what the fuck they're doing. Or at least I hope they remember what they did.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny how a lot of what I wanted to talk about is just being kind of worked in here. Because we already mentioned Phil Spencer retiring, Sarah Bond. Thank God she's gone. Yeah, dude, seriously. Dumbass. Yeah, put a woman in charge to look what happens. Adam hates women. Please.
No. Let's be honest. That person and the new person in charge, they don't know video games.
No. I was just gonna say, Asha Sharma. Her background is in AI. Who wants this woman in charge? Who? Nobody asked for that. And she like apparently they faked her like her achievements list.
It's a family console. Okay. We're all playing, and it's like blah blah blah. And yet, so your whole family is playing. How much of that are you aware of? Are you sitting there watching them, going, "Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is what Xbox did. Oh, this is what they became famous for." No, you're not doing that. Your kids are playing while you're making fucking dinner, and you're doing AI research, and then you're claiming that these are all your achievements. No, you're making your kids and your husband do all the work, and you're taking credit for it. I don't want to hear it.
Well, and yet she somehow has achievements that most good gamers don't have. So that may not even be the case. I think Microsoft just kind of gave her an account and gave her those achievements just to make it look good. It's just like, nope.
I'm saying this with best case scenario. If there's going to be any degree of honesty, that would be your best case scenario. And some of her responses and tweets of, well, did you do this in Chrono Trigger? What were my top 3 favorite games? Games that she probably never even played. It's nonsense. It sounds. I don't care if a woman's involved. There's a lot of women YouTubers who play video games all the time, and you see that there's like the something NPC. What the hell is her name?
Background NPC.
Background NPC.
She's one of my favorites.
She's a video gamer. She's fucking honest. She's I just like her. Background NPC. Oh my god, she's awesome. If she wanted to be in charge of running the show, I'd be okay with that because at least she's got some insight.
Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. Yeah. There's also Stormfall 33. She's also really good. She's fun to watch every once in a while for a couple of reasons.
And that was the thing about Phil Spencer, right? He played video games. He kind of knew what he was talking about. But just like Todd Howard got a little bit too detached. That's what I said, Howard.
I thought you said Howard.
Well, I'm congested, so not all my words are being enunciated.
Todd Howard.
But I feel like those two, and not to necessarily bring Todd Howard into this, but those two got detached, right? They got a little too far detached from the core audience, and that was very clearly represented in the work that followed.
It does make you wonder if Phil Spencer might have had his hands tied after a certain point, because Redfall was a epic disaster. And while at the beginning, I mean, it was he made Xbox show up at the front. He was like, Game Pass, let's make this happen. And he made it happen. And he brought Xbox back into the spotlight when for years it was just failing miserably on the hardware side of things. And then he was like, here's how we can kind of fix this. Xbox Series, great console, still not enough to compete. Sorry to say, but I think it's just Sony's had the spot for so long because Xbox One was such a flop that Spencer had a large hill to climb, and unfortunately he just wasn't enough. But when he came in and was the head of Xbox, he was doing work, man. And then after, I want to say somewhere around the failure of Redfall, things kind of just spiraled out of control for him. And I just don't think he had control at all anymore of anything. Microsoft was probably sticking their meaty little paws in his pie, and they were just taking everything out of it. And he didn't know what to do. So, he just had only one choice, and that was to bow out. And I mean, I don't want to think poorly of Phil Spencer, because it's just he did such good work for Xbox. He was able to bring the brand back into the spotlight for a lot of people, and basically back from the brink of death. And while not every decision he made was good, I don't think every decision he made was of his own making. If he made it by himself, it was his decision and his alone, I don't think things would have gone this way.
No, but he is like the figurehead, right? He is the boss. He's the one kind of running the show. So when quality of product slips, which Redfall was a very clear indication that something wasn't right, your quality assurance team isn't doing their job. Well, where's the checks and balances? Who's overseeing this? When you know that the quality of something isn't good, then you still put it out. What does that say about you as a leader? Microsoft isn't going to look at that too fondly. The investors aren't going to look at that too fondly, and they're going to strip you of certain responsibilities until something gets sorted, or they're going to replace you. And I think at some point, you're right. Well, I think anyone who might be thinking this, his hands were tied. He lost control, and he bowed out. He bowed out while, before things got worse than they already were.
I mean, he's been at the company for 30 years or more. I think he's just pretty much had it. He's done. He's done and dusted. He's tired, and he probably just wants to move on. And I don't blame him, especially after Redfall. Just everything kind of just took a nosedive. A lot of things come out. Avowed, Outer Worlds 2. None of these games did well. Gears of War E-Day is still in the distance. We don't even know when that's coming out. Halo has taken a nosedive off the cliff. And so it's...
Oh, do you see some of the skins in Halo? Do you see some of the crap?
Yeah, nonsense.
Like, it's not only this pride representation and all this other stuff, but it's also just bloat, like Call of Duty. It's like Microsoft's version of Call of Duty. Nonsense stuff.
Which they own now.
It's the whole... I hate when they do that. We want to cater to every player. I'm sorry, but I'm with Asmongold on this. You have completely ignored the core audience of what made that game great, what made that series great, and you completely said fuck you to all of them. you're not gonna get that player base back. You're just not.
And to be fair, I'm going to say this with my whole chest. 343 never gave a shit about the core player base.
Never.
After Reach, it was. I'm not going to poo-poo Halo 4. I think it was okay. I have yet to play Halo 5, but I know how it plays out. It's stupid. And then Infinite, I've not played the campaign. I hear there are some good things, but mostly bad things about it. And the multiplayer is okay. But it's just, they never gave a shit about Halo. Just like the TV showrunners never gave a shit about Halo. And so it's just, enough is enough.
They'll never get back that feeling when you first step out onto the ring in Halo, or how it concluded when you're driving through the chaos in the Warthog. They will never recapture any of that. They will never get any of that back, and that's it. It's like an addict trying to reach their first high. Microsoft and Xbox are never going to capture that again, because the ones that had that vision, that had the idea of Halo, wanted to end it at 3, and then they forced them beyond that point.
Yeah, well, it was
You
contract.
ruined it.
Yeah, it's a contractual obligation, and luckily, Halo 3 ODST and Reach were both excellent games. So the last hurrah for Bungie, they didn't touch Master Chief. Like you said, they wanted his story to be done at 3, so then they made ODST and then Reach, which was pre-Halo 1. They told the story of Reach, and that was it. They should have just left it there. Halo would still have its reputation, and people would still love it. And the only way that we're going to be revisiting that moment of stepping out on the Halo ring, the remake is coming. So,
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Hope to God they don't fuck that up.
Well, so far, Jack Fraggs has said he was very impressed. It was very Halo. The new lighting and the new graphics make it it basically is one of those moments where he looked at the game and he said, "This is what I saw when I played the first game. This is how I pictured it." So when we think back on it and we think, oh man, yeah, did it actually look that good? And then we see the original graphics, are like, no, it did not. But at the time it did. So it's really just kind of like one of those, it's a horrible, but also awesome downside to nostalgia, is that you remember it looking like that, but it actually never looked like that. But those
it's a rose-colored glasses phenomenon.
Yeah, those nostalgic feelings that you have of, what did Halo or what did Gears of War or what did Call of Duty look like to you? And with the newer technology, the lighting engines or the lighting and the new engines that they're building stuff on, it's kind of bringing what we had envisioned to life. And so as far as I could tell, the Halo remake is coming together pretty well. So fingers crossed they don't change much except for just update the graphics, maybe some gameplay mechanics. But for the most part, it's relatively the same.
Hashtag make Cortana hot again.
Yeah, right. Give her the body that she had in Halo 4. Because, good Lord.
Hey, mama.
She was thick, dude. Oh. None of this.
Yeah, we all know Master Chief and Cortana had this weird
they did whatever. Yeah. I mean, think back to Demolition Man, the movie, where they had sex in their mind. Yeah. Like, that's basically it. That's basically
what happened.
So, yeah.
That's why he never took off his helmet.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, overall, PlayStation shutting down Bluepoint, bad idea. Scaling back PC ports, if it wasn't making them money, I didn't know that much about that. So, if it wasn't really making them much more money, then I guess it really doesn't matter. Phil Spencer, good luck, sir. We're going to miss you. You were definitely a positive spin on the industry. I'm just sorry you couldn't keep a hold of it. And Asha Sharma, nobody gives a shit about you. So, good luck with that. So, I want to kind of, speaking of PlayStation, piggyback off of that a little bit. Just real quick, the Marathon launch.
Yes. Since we were speaking of Bungie.
Yeah, it kind of did really well. And it's still doing really well. Like, as of right now, its peak all time was 88,000, so just under 100. And as of right now, it has around 67,000 players playing. It took a dip at around somewhere around 10 o'clock this morning, but I mean, that's Friday morning. People should be working. And now it's gone way back up, all the way up to 68. So it was down at around 30, and it gained double that over the last few hours. So it's kind of crazy how many people just came right back online. You and I spoke about this over text. Nothing is going to make me play this game. Not for $40. This, I personally think in the long run, it's a big mistake to make it premium, because while it's a veteran developer studio, it's not a veteran IP. It's an old IP name that they're taking and changing, which I didn't know this. There were 3 Marathon games. I thought there was only 1, but there were 3 Marathon games back in the 90s that Bungie made. And they're taking the name of Marathon. They are continuing the story in a way from those games. However, it's not a single player game, even though there's story beats and stuff like that. It's 87.47% positive reviews.
That's much higher than I would have anticipated.
Right. And, people say you can't really, judge unless you've tried it yourself. I don't need to try eating a piece of shit to know that it's a piece of shit. Okay. I'm not interested in spending $40 on an untested game style from a tested studio. It's not what I want from Bungie. And given how they've treated the Destiny community, I'm over it. I don't want to give this game the time of day. Now, I will watch my favorite YouTubers and streamers play it because they're fun to watch, but I don't see why people wanted this. Like, nobody wanted this from Bungie, and yet here we are.
Well, it's another developer losing favor with their community, right? They did Destiny fans dirty multiple times. Especially, oh my God, when I stopped playing Destiny is when they got rid of the whole Red War storyline in Destiny 2.
That's a long time ago.
I know. That's when I stopped playing, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, why can I not? Anyway, that's a whole other thing. They've lost favor. But what I will say is there are things about Marathon that I didn't know. Now, I'm not an extraction shooter player. I don't like the idea. To me, it's gambling. You go out there, you loot things, you run the risk of losing it. To some people, that's a thrill, that's a high, that's the gameplay loop they want. To me, that's gambling. And I have terrible luck. This is why you'll never see me in a casino. I put $5 in, I go up to $500, I lose it all in one night. So I'm out $5. My luck is so bad. I will not do this, especially when cheaters are potentially abound. There's no sense in risking it. What am I going to benefit from it? Now, what I do find interesting about Marathon is a few things. One, Bungie did listen to the criticisms. They made some changes. For anyone who thought that the alpha testing or whatever they had last year, if they all thought that was going to be the final visual style of the game, I don't want to say that they were delusional or stupid or anything, but let's be honest. I think even Bungie was like, yeah, no, this isn't going to be the final look of the game. They still had to add a few things. They probably weren't going to fix some of the more important things like gameplay mechanics, but visually, I think it would have resulted in what they currently have right now, which, by the way, it looks really good.
It
visually.
It does.
I think the polygonal style of the guns and the characters kind of fits the theme that they were going for.
Yeah.
Not really up my alley, but at least it fits. Like, thematically, it's cohesive. That I can appreciate. They changed the idea of the runners, and they're not runners anymore, which I think is hilarious because of the story behind that. Wow, you call them runners, but they all move kind of slow, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now they're not runners, they're shells. And these shells have their own abilities. And these abilities really do have an impact as you progress later in the game. They also, and this I didn't know, this isn't like Arc Raiders where people will continuously spawn in. No, there's only 12 players on a map. So if your team of 3 takes out the other 9 players, you have the whole map to yourself. And it progressively gets more difficult the longer you stay in. So the longer you stay in, the more NPCs you get to fight. There are these wow, shit. What are they called? I'm not wardens. They have these specialized wardens, which are essentially the biggest bosses that you can fight. They take hundreds of bullets to kill. They can be difficult to kill, but they drop good loot. They have locked areas that actually have high valuable items, not just nonsense BS like, oh, this is a blue, or this is like whatever. It's not the common to rare. No, this is like purples, golds, other things that you can't get outside of that room. So I think they've really honed in on making certain aspects of the game meaningful, which is very, very important. But I don't know how long it will last with the competition of Arc Raiders, particularly because of what you had just brought up. You have to pay for Marathon.
Yeah. And you do have to pay for Arc Raiders. It's $10 less, but there's a lot of
more fleshed out, and the AI is okay. So the AI in Marathon isn't bad, but you can't deny the incredible AI in Arc Raiders. You can't. It's very good in the physics base movement of the AI, especially when you hit them, taking out the propellers, the rudders, taking out the motors of some of the machines in Arc Raiders. It has an individualized and a physics-based effect on your enemy. You're not getting that with Marathon. It just doesn't feel as natural. It feels a lot like Halo.
Right. And well, and here's the thing with Bungie, they know what to do with first person shooters. They are, if there's anything I can say about Bungie, they have phenomenal FPS mechanics. Every time you play a Bungie game, shooting feels amazing. Destiny 2 never felt bad. Destiny 1 never felt bad. Halo never felt bad. They know what they're doing. My problem is that I actually watched one of Level Cap's videos from yesterday, I think, where he put up like half an hour's worth of gameplay. The AI is overpowered. Like he shot one of the bots, took down its shields, punched it 3 times, hit it twice with a shotgun, and it still downed him. I'm like, and it wasn't even one of the bigger ones. So I'm like, what the fuck was that? One. You know, like you could take down the bots in Arc Raider a lot easier than that. That is ridiculous. They're supposed to be a threat, but not threatening. You know, like it's ridiculous.
Yet the PvP time to kill is incredibly fast.
Super fast. Yeah, super fast. So I think they got that a little backwards. Players, because the players are so infrequent, they should be the hard ones to kill. Now, as you know, I'm a huge sci-fi buff. I love sci-fi, just the theme around it. That's why Arc Raiders like really kind of captured me. I haven't played it in a while, but like when I did play it, man, I was in it, dude. That cyberpunk or sci-fi sort of futuristic sort of look, 80s style, just hits so well. I'm not saying that Marathon's theme is bad. I just hate the look of it.
Yeah,
it's
I can understand why.
All the colors, everything's angular, and characters are androgynous. But this android or this shell is a female because it has long hair, and it's just like, bro, can you guys just like? I mean, to be fair to them, and I'm trying to play both sides here to try and see it from their perspective. Certainly one of the most unique looking games I've ever seen. Because a lot of things just look very samey these days. This doesn't look like anything we've ever seen. So I got to give them that. But I'm not paying $40 to try it. Why is this not free to play? They took Destiny 2, which you had to pay for, which was worth paying for because it already had Destiny 1 to back it up. They made that free to play, and now they're making an untested IP pay to play and not free. That doesn't make any sense. Destiny 2 is free. Why didn't you make this free? It makes no sense.
Especially because they got a lot of money off of Destiny. Can't you just say, well, we used the money there to make Marathon?
Well,
I agree with you.
Yeah, and that was the whole point of the Eververse in Destiny when they introduced that into Destiny 1 was supposed to pay for content. Where was the content? Like, you still had us pay for expansions. I thought that's what the whole Eververse was supposed to be. If that was the case, I would have probably bought more shit in Destiny 2 so that it would pay for the expansions. Yeah. But that never happened. So I don't know where they got this money from and where they get off being like, let's pay us $40. $40 is not a lot of money, but $40 is still my money. And if you want my money, you have to make a game so compelling that I'd want to buy it. Like Resident Evil 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is such a great transition, Adam, because that's something else I wanted to talk about. But, anyway, say anything else if you got anything.
with Marathon, it's such a niche game genre that I don't think that this was the right way to bring Marathon back. They should have stuck with the original genre, which it was, to then maybe introduce this type of genre a little bit later. I think they are bringing some really cool mechanics into the shooter space, like the blood trails when someone's crawling away, the decaying bodies over time that tell you how long they've been there. Are they a fresh kill, or are they a kill that was a while ago?
Right, that was
some
cool
of
idea.
those ideas. Yeah, I think some of the ideas they have are really, really good. I think the genre choice was a huge mistake.
Yeah, extraction shooters. I mean, here's the thing. Extraction shooter is probably the newest genre on the market, and people are already sick of it. Like, I know I am. I'm sick of seeing extraction shooter this, extraction shooter that. You are competing with some really high caliber games. Arc Raiders being the current one. Tarkov was there at the beginning first. It was kind of like, and to be fair, Division was actually the first extraction shooter, to be fair. Okay, you go into the Dark Zone, that's the extraction shooter. It created the genre. And then, other games in Tarkov came out and kind of solidified the genre as a legitimate thing. And now everybody's trying to chase this extraction shooter genre that people are already sick of it. Because now you're not just extraction shooter, now it's a hero extraction shooter. You got classes in this thing.
It's the battle royale effect.
Yeah. And some people are sick of that too.
That's what I'm saying. So many battle royales came out. You had PUBG, and you had Fortnite, and then you had Warzone, right? Big three. And all of a sudden it's like BR this, BR that, BR this, BR that. And it's like, stop.
Yep. And we're just kind of over it, So while I'm seeing it being relatively popular right now, and it may not be the numbers that I'm sure Bungie would have liked to see, 67,000 people playing right now is not terrible. Like, it's still a doable player base. Like, they will support the game with that number. But if you want to bring in more people, you got to make it free to play. Sorry to say, it has to be free to play if you want me to even try it. I'm not saying I'm be all end all and I'm important, but somebody like me, you're trying to capture people like me who want single player games, who has occasional multiplayer games that he plays, but is super into single player and co-op. If you want to capture me like Arc Raiders did, you got to make it free to play. Arc Raiders was made by a studio who already proved that they knew what they were doing with the finals. And I was like, let's see what these guys can do. I was really happy when they announced it to be a co-op. I was really sad when they changed their minds and made an extraction shooter. But I bought it because Jeremy was playing it. And the minute I got in it, I'm like, okay, I get it now. The theme kept me there, and the gameplay just roped me in, man.
I found it very interesting. I was watching like a mini documentary on Arc Raiders and learned that Arc Raiders was designed first in concept before the finals.
Wow.
So they had that in concept phase before finals was in concept phase. And it was in development longer than the finals. And the finals wasn't supposed to go out the way it did. It wasn't supposed to be necessarily what it ended up being, but it was the most complete of the two, for one. And they had to push the finals out to try to make some money to continue production on Arc Raiders.
Yeah. Well,
which I thought was very interesting.
And I'm looking up the finals. It's hovering around 14,000 players in a 24-hour span. So they're kind of, and it goes up and down every single day. It's back up to the same number every single day, roughly. So they have a pretty consistent player base. And, you know, while you don't need a whole lot of players to play that game, that pretty much goes for a lot of multiplayer games these days. You know, I guess it's sustainable. You know, they're still pushing with it, and Arc Raiders more than likely is still making them a ton of money. And I don't think that I don't know if they take money from Arc Raiders and put it into the finals and vice versa. But you would think and hope that maybe developers would do that, where they use the monetary gains from one game to fund the other ones so that they can keep them all going. But Arc Raiders is doing so well right now. Over 200,000 players every 24 hours is kind of nuts. So that player base is huge.
I don't know why it's in my mind right now, because maybe I've heard it somewhere. But aren't those two games in the same universe?
Not to my knowledge.
Like, I don't know why I have it in my mind that the finals predated Arc Raiders, but they're in the same universe. I'm gonna have to look that up, because for some reason that's in my mind, and I wouldn't randomly think that for no reason.
Well, Google says yes. Strong evidence suggests Arc Raiders and the finals are connected and share the same universe, with the finals acting as a thematic prequel to the post-apocalyptic Arc Raiders.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I did hear and or read it somewhere.
I mean, that only makes sense since they use AI for the voices. So
all right, Requiem.
which I'm not against, by the way. I think it's a good idea, but get permission first. So, you know, as I alluded to, just real quick, I wanted to shout out a congratulations to Capcom for making a Resident Evil game sell faster than anything in the franchise, apparently. 5 million in 5 days. Holy shit.
That's crazy.
Wow. And I want that game. I really do. And I might grab it. I don't know. I don't buy games on day one that often anymore, but when a game is good, you kind of want it.
So I'm not a Resident Evil player. The last one I played, you remember Colin Bonnets?
Yes.
Yeah. The last time I played was Resident Evil 2 at his house.
2? Oh my God.
Yeah. That was I tried playing 4. I never beat 4. I never got out of the first village. Didn't really care. Wasn't up my alley, but I sure as shit enjoy watching it. I'm currently watching Markiplier play it.
Yeah, that's dating us right there.
Yeah. And can I just say, like, I knew the RE engine was good, but what the fuck is this game so close to photorealism?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
Wow.
Like, I don't know about consoles, but I know PC has ray tracing option, and it's easily one of the better implementations of ray trace lighting that I've ever seen.
Good.
It's really good. I didn't realize that the voice actress for Grace was different from the model that they used for her face. The model is gorgeous, of course. But the actress, from what I've heard, what I've seen on her performance, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Like, a lot of people are saying that she is the better character, and her gameplay is the better gameplay, because Leon is Leon. He's a badass. He's a hunk, you know. Like, the ladies love him. The guys want to be
honest. He's a hot dude.
He's a hot dude.
What the fuck?
And he kicks the shit out of everything. But his gameplay is what we're used to when it comes to previous Resident Evils, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, hell, Resident Evil 2 and 3, you know, especially with the remakes. We're used to that type of gameplay. However, Grace and her sections is what Resident Evil was made for. And people are saying that it's really, they've towed that line very well, where it's like, Apparently, they have you starting off as Grace, and just when you're about to lose your fucking mind, they're like, let's give you a break, and now you get to be Leon and kill everything. And then when you're kind of teetering on like being bored, then they go right back to Grace, and apparently they've towed that line very well. And it transitions between the characters seamlessly to a point where it's like, wow, okay, I'm hooked on every aspect of this game. So I'm very excited.
I like that you brought up the dichotomous way of a dual protagonist. The way they did it was is apparently, I'm watching through it now, so I don't really know. But as you said, Grace's portrayal, she's a very timid FBI agent who is tasked to go do this thing, and she's genuinely scared out of her fucking mind. She has a history that is resurfacing and being triggered by the environment that she's in, which makes her timid, fearful, uncertain of what she should do, which is the whole premise of Resident Evil, is it not? Like, it takes you right back to the first one when you're going about the story and you don't know what to expect. You, the player, are that timid person. She is the representation of the feelings you got when Resident Evil first came out. Leon is the representation of what Resident Evil became. The excitement, the power, the knowledge. He is the old players today, and Grace is the new players back then.
Yeah, it's interesting.
A very good representation of both.
It's interesting that you bring it up in that light, because I actually heard that this is it. Like, not the last Resident Evil game, but this is it for the whole Umbrella arc story.
Yes, which is crazy.
I didn't realize that.
Crazy.
Yeah. That just blows me away.
The whole premise of Resident Evil was Umbrella.
Right. It was Umbrella. It was different types of viruses, the T virus, the P virus. I don't know. Like, there's so many different viruses, apparently. The T virus is the only one I know. But I didn't realize that they had... that only affects black people. They apparently... they apparently had it in their minds that they were going to end this storyline at some point, and I think that they're doing it with Grace. Grace is now potentially, I don't know, this is just speculation, but she's potentially going to be the start of the new era of Resident Evil. And everything, I guess, this game ends in a way that's a great send-off for the Umbrella Chronicles, essentially, and everything that had to do with that whole section of Resident Evil. And now she's going to start this whole new era of Resident Evil, which is going to be interesting to see.
There was some commentary around the length of the game. I personally, not having played it, I genuinely do not care for the length of a game if the presentation is good and memorable. What I am gathering from people who have already finished the game, that regardless its length, it was presented very well. It's heavily favored. The storytelling was good. The voice acting was good. The setting was good. Everything about the game was good. So if it's short, if it's brief, but still good, then its length shouldn't even be a criticism.
No, and it does come down to how did it impact your experience? Like, people are like, how can you put a price on the top? Like, we got into this this habit of equating time with money, which obviously that's what makes the world go round. Time is money. So people felt as though if you're going to spend $70 for a video game, then you should get 70 hours worth of that game. But in a lot of situations, that's just not the case. And I think Resident Evil Requiem is a good example of that exact situation where people are spending $70 on this game, but their experience is so visceral and so encapsulating that $70 seems worth it. It's a 10.5-hour story, 13 hours for main plus extras, and then completion is like 28. You can a lot of people play single player games that most people would think don't have any replayability over and over and over again. They could get 70 hours out of it if they wanted to. That's how speedrunners do it, essentially. They just keep playing the same game over and over again until they get better at it.
Or people like, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Ryukar. You've never? Okay, so he is, very briefly, he became very popular in Super Mario World. Super Mario Maker, apologies. He became very popular because of how mechanically skilled he is at Mario games. He finds replayability in right now. He's doing a whole series or multiple series of beating old games from the NES or the SNES. He's playing all these older games and showing unique ways. Like he just did a Castlevania without getting any power-ups. He played the very first Castlevania without doing, like, this is what some people do. They challenge themselves by putting restrictions on the game. So they could even do that with Requiem. People have already done that with Resident Evil in the past. It's self-inflicted restrictions that create a degree of difficulty that the developers probably never intended.
See, but that's
how you get some replayability.
And see, that's what most kids these days don't know about us old hats, is that's how we used to do it. Like you and I and Rob and Chip, we may never have done stuff like that, but we found different ways to play the games that we love to play. Like, okay, I played through Final Fantasy VII in this way. Now I'm going to go back and play through it in a different way and see how I feel about that. Use this material instead of that one, and so on and so forth. So that's how we got more replayability. That and the fact that we only got like one game every 6 months. So the bottom line is that we had limitations monetarily, so we had to come up with unique ways to play our games over and over and over again. Now it's like people need incentives to do that. I got to get this trophy, so that's kind of like me. Got to get this trophy. I got to get, I got to try and beat this boss in this certain amount of time. There's got to be incentives so I can get this piece of gear or something like that. There's got to be incentives. But when a game is fun, you don't need incentives. The incentive is to play the game. And that's what keeps you going. And I think that's what Ryukar is trying to, I don't know if he's trying to prove that, but he's certainly passively proving the fact that if a game is fun and you love it that much, you're going to play it regardless of what you can unlock in the game, or regardless of what you gain from it by playing it.
Oh yeah, he's genuinely obsessed with old school games. He even beat Contra without getting a power up. Can you believe that? He beat all of Contra without.
I couldn't beat Contra
with power
regularly. Like, it's just like,
I mean, this guy is really talented. I do want to speak just very briefly on your point. Like, back in the day, we had restrictions because of finances, right? We couldn't get games as much, but also games took a little while to come out. Also, the way the games functioned, like tank controls, which is an outdated thing nowadays, there were actual like challenges associated with the game mechanics themselves. Like Crash Bandicoot had to have timing perfect. You had to be pixel perfect in certain games. You had to do things a certain way in certain games, and it was challenging to adapt to. Kids today, post PlayStation 2 or 3, I would say PlayStation 3, post PlayStation 3, they have no idea the challenges that we were faced with the NES, the SNES, the 64, all these other things. Mostly everything predating joysticks. I know then 64 had a thumbstick, but it only had one, right? So like there were so many other things that would challenge us in the game that we would die over and over and over again. You remember Star Wars Empire Strikes Back? I could never fucking beat that game. I could never beat that game.
Super.
Because of how challenging it was.
Super Star Wars and Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. Two of the hardest games on SNES I think I've ever tried to play. Yeah, I mean, the thing that kids these days they have is Dark Souls. That was the difficulty, and it is difficult. That's every single game back when we were growing up.
Yep. Lion King, Aladdin.
That was every single, even the kids' games, like those games, Lion King and Aladdin.
Rayman.
They were still hard because of the control schemes, because of the lack of, kids have no idea how easy it is to play a lot of the games these days. And they never will, unfortunately.
And staying on the topic of Capcom, the Resident Evil games, tank controls. Tank controls. And fixed camera angles.
Yeah.
Like,
Onimusha.
Onimusha, yeah, was very popular. In fact, I'm so fucking glad it's coming back, man. Oh my god, I've learned so much about it. That's something I'm gonna have to talk to you about another time. But yeah, it was a heavily favored thing, and you had to have those fixed camera angles because of the background style that they used. But
like
yeah,
painted backgrounds or something like that.
Yeah, they looked so detailed because they weren't 3D images. They were 2D images. But yeah, kids today will never know the challenges. I mean, I had Luke try Crash Bandicoot, the Insane trilogy that was on the PlayStation 4. He couldn't get past the first level.
Yeah. Well, there was that one level with the bridge. People were like saying the planks were too far apart at one point. So I know that when the Insane trilogy came out, they did have that issue. I think they might have corrected it, but people were like trying to beat it, and they were like, I don't remember it being this hard. It was, but that was actually a mistake. So that bridge section was actually a mistake. But it was that hard, and I'm not saying that we're better gamers for it. I'm just saying that games are really easy today.
Oh, I will say it. We are better gamers. I tell Luke all the time I'm a better gamer. He's like, why are you always so much better? Because I had to deal with that.
Yeah, because that's what we grew up with. And maybe someday we'll introduce him to the actual old school games and see how he does. But yeah. But to go from a super high to a super low, Highguard's shutting down. 45 days after its release, Highguard is officially shutting down on the 12th of March. They didn't even bother to try and go a year. Now, to be fair, when Tencent pulls funding, you kind of have to shut down. But it would have been nice to be able to get the rest of the trophies, at least. Granted, I have not been playing it in the last few weeks because I've been playing other things. That's not indicative of the fact that I don't like the game. I actually liked the concept. I thought it was a good idea. And people say, well, 3v3 on a huge map doesn't make sense. It's like you ride horses and they're very fast. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of downtime. Like the downtime was at the very beginning, and they even shortened that time limit as well. When you spawn in, they shortened the timer from like 2 minutes to like a minute and a half or something like that to gear up as quickly as possible and then get to the shield breaker. So that improved the speed of the game at least, but it's not like nothing was happening. Once you got into a firefight, it was constant. It was like you had those moments in between each fight where you'd have to reset and go all over again, but you kind of ran into people if you knew where to go. Like that, it really wasn't as boring as some people were making it out to be. I certainly didn't seem bored, but then again, I do very mundane things in video games, like collect all the fucking icons on a Ubisoft game, and I find it cathartic. But it is very unfortunate that Highguard is unable to continue to see what it can come up with. I do find it interesting that the last update, they're introducing a new warden, a skill tree and progression, and a new gun. Why? If you're shutting down in 6 days, why would you do that? It makes no sense at all. Just leave the game away the way it is. You're going to tease us with a pretty big update, to be fair, progression and skill trees in the last 6 days of its life. Like, why? I mean, what the hell? Why bother? But
I mean, it's a good question to ask, but I try to look at it from a developer's perspective. You may not get anything from it, but a few things. You're fulfilling the promise you made, and you worked on all this stuff to not put it out. even if for a short period of time. As a developer, I would still want people to try some of the things that I created. That way you could determine or identify in your future work, is that something that was favored? Is that something people enjoyed? Is that something that I could recreate in the future? I can understand from a developer perspective, I'd still want people to try the things that I've worked on and maybe gain some favor, and they can look at the game and be like, all right, it actually had potential. Unfortunate. Maybe we gave this too much. Maybe we as gamers gave this too much shit. As a person who has not played it and probably would never have played it, I still enjoyed watching it. I thought those fights were insane. I thought when you started, you hit that shield breaker and then you tried to siege the base, I thought those fights were really cool. It was really intense. I'm watching it and my heart's going.
And that's where I think Highguard's shown the most, and it actually still has roughly about 400 players on Steam alone, and that's not counting consoles. So we're probably closer to 1,000 players total across every platform, but it's just not enough to sustain it. I personally think that was one of the coolest things that of any game that I played recently is you're stabbing this thing with a giant sword and opening a rift so a battering ram can come in and break down the that's so fucking cool. Like, how could you look at that and be like, yeah, that's boring? What? You just summoned a fucking battering ram. It was so cool.
Yeah. I think some of the criticisms around Highguard were a little nonsensical. People were saying the designs were crap and that they were very DEI trash. I'm sorry, they were not to the level of Concord. Concord was so bad. Visually, I would say, not visually, graphically, Concord had really good visuals, but thematically, it was so poor. It was so poor. Concord had unique characters. They looked different, and they weren't DEI. That one chick, I don't remember her name.
Scarlet?
No, not the hot one.
The one that I didn't.
Yeah, the one I didn't even know was a girl. But she looked cool. She's giant. She's strong. I was like, wait, hold on, that's a chick. You know who I'm talking about? Uma, yeah.
Una, I think it's called.
I thought her design was really cool. I had no idea it was a girl, but I didn't even care. She looked really cool. And then I saw the tits and I was like, oh, okay, Amazon. But they weren't trying to, I didn't feel that with the visuals, they were catering to an audience of the DEI variety. I think they were trying to create superhero-like characters. They're trying to present like the main guy with the lances who goes up in the air with lightning lances
Atticus,
and all that stuff. Atticus, standard superhero, right? Everyone's like, oh, that's a DEI haircut.
It's like Soldier 76.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Did you see Superman? Superman had a very clean haircut. Did this guy have a little, some designs on the side of his head? Sure, absolutely. But you have people all around the world doing that.
The thing is that he had a very stereotypical haircut for a black man, and that's what people were, kind of pointing out. What's his face from Killmonger from Black Panther? That's essentially what people looked at, and they're like, oh, it's the Killmonger haircut, which it was close. It wasn't exactly it, but it was close. It's the stereotypical haircut. People saw it and they said DEI, and it's like, okay, but then you got Condor, who's also a black character, who does have I guess dread adjacent haircut, but it is relevant to what she's representing, which is probably some sort of African sort of thing. I don't know. All I know is that that's what it is. And then you've got Redmayne, who has cornrows essentially, but he's not black. I don't know what he is. He's my favorite character, but like you said, every single character looked different. And while, to be fair, the only character that looked his part was Slade. Guy dealt with fire and magma. His arms look like fire and magma. So like the guy exudes what he is. Every other character does.
What about the ice guy?
Yeah, Kai. Yeah, he pretty much is the same way. Yeah, like they're like the two characters that really kind of tell you what they're about, for the most part. You know, Kai works with ice, Slade works with fire, and then their abilities are more or less just like, you know, you kind of figure out what their abilities do. But the bottom line is that the characters at least had their own unique look to them, their own personality. Unlike Concord, they're not even they're way better than Concord, because the chicks are hot. You know, it's just like that's, you know, but
I just think their designs were cool. I don't think there was anything generic about them. I kept hearing criticisms. And this is where I differed with Asmongold. I watch him a lot. This is where I differed from Asmongold's opinion. He said that they were very genetic DEI slop, and I'm like, no, they're actually not. They're actually not slop. You're just saying that because you're building off of the hate train, that gains you popularity. It's not your style. He also criticized. He recently played Marathon, and he titled one of his videos "Concord 3?" And it was actually just him playing it live, cut down into the video. But I remember catching the end of his stream when he said, yeah, you know, these things are kind of cool, and like I get this, and like this isn't that bad. And this game's just not for me. So if it's not just for you, then why are you calling it slop? Because it's actually just not slop. It's just not for you. Just like I'm not looking at Marathon like it's slop. I'm looking at it as like a game that has a very unique theme that is trying something slightly different with the not the looter shooter, but the wow, I just forgot it.
extraction shooter.
Extraction shooter genre.
So technically is a looter shooter in there as well.
Yeah, that's true. And Highguard, another criticism that people had about it, not just the visuals, but it didn't seem to have an identity. It was trying to do 100 different things. Well, isn't that what they advertise as well? A new breed of shooter? Well, they were trying 100 different things to create a new type of shooter, so it wasn't falsely advertised.
What they called a raid shooter, essentially, is what they called it, I think.
And so when people said that, well, this is the same shooter as everything else. Well, no, you just highlighted 100 different things that makes it somewhat different. It has Rainbow Six Siege elements. It has
Overwatch,
Apex Legends, Overwatch elements. It like has all these different elements. It even has that stupid mining game associated with it. Like they were literally trying something different as advertised, and everyone said, "Who asked for this?" And they also said, this is just like every other one, but then you complain that it's not like every other one. I think people wanted to hate just to hate.
Well, and I think that Asmongold is saying that he liked some of the character designs in Marathon. It's like those are literally generic.
Well, I don't know if he said he liked certain characters in Marathon. I think he was saying there are certain things about Marathon, like the shooting was good.
Well, the shooting, everybody knows Bungie can do a shooter. Yeah. Like that's just plain simple.
And he said, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain I remember him saying it played well. The game played well. There weren't any bugs. There wasn't anything broken. Everything worked as intended. It was a solid experience. It just wasn't for him.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Cool.
And that's fine and everything. And I just want to put it out there that anybody who thinks that the character design in Marathon is unique is high, because one of the biggest complaints of Marathon right now is that they can't tell the difference between players and the robots. That's a big deal. Whereas in Arc Raiders is very clear who the robots are. And in Highguard, it's very clear who you're fighting. You can tell based on the silhouette of the character who's who. It's pretty easy. So, in my opinion, that's what makes these characters stand out above Concord and Marathon, because those games have no identity. Literally in Marathon, in the case where it's like everything is androgynous, and then in Concord they just tried too hard, I guess. I don't know. But the characters, you can't deny the characters each look unique to themselves. They look unique from each other, and you can tell who you're fighting and what they do.
Based on watching you play, the world was also designed fairly well to accommodate some strategy, right? Certain lanes that you would take. Could you encounter your opponent while you were looting and all that? Absolutely. But there was also this like capture the flag element. First person to get to the shield breaker, you have to compete for that. That was really cool. I think the biggest criticism I would have had, or I did have, and still have of the game is that preparing your base for defense
Yeah, that was stupid.
very poor.
Yeah, that was dumb. Completely pointless.
If they had fleshed that out, that would have been far better. It would have, I think, received a little bit more attention if there was any meaning behind securing your base, and there just wasn't. It's one of those games I feel was disproportionately hated for no reason. Similar to Godfall. A lot of people gave Godfall shit. I think Godfall was great. I've put hundreds of hours into it. I personally enjoy Godfall, and I've seen people play. I saw people playing it last year who even titled their streams and or videos "Unduly Hated?" ?
Yeah. Well, and it's
now,
weird
and
how
now we'll never get another one.
Well, it's weird how Godfall of all games as well somehow is still maintaining its servers, but it only has 9 players in it on Steam. So how is a game like Godfall still have its server up, but Highguard, which has 5 times as many players, is shutting down? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Maybe it's because Godfall, you only need 3 players total for each session. You know, it's a co-op game, so you don't need that many players. Whereas, you know, Highguard, you need at least 6, which, I mean, that's not that many, or 10 for 5v5.
And I think it's also, they might have switched to P2P servers.
Oh, see, that's kind of a benefit.
Yeah, because you can't play cross-platform. Like, I can't link up with someone on PC. I can't link up with someone on Xbox.
Did you used to be able to?
No, I don't think you've ever been able to. So I think it is a player-to-player sort of thing, which is why they're able to maintain it, because those are incredibly cheap and or free most of the time.
Well, peer-to-peer is just whoever the host is that's the server. Right, and I still think that peer-to-peer is a good... I still think we should probably get back to that technology, because otherwise this happens where games just shut down, and it's because they relied so heavily on dedicated servers.
I think dedicated servers are necessary if a game is still being supported. I think if a game is going to stop being supported, the servers should switch to peer-to-peer. That I don't disagree with that at all. I think peer-to-peer should help with the longevity of a title that that people enjoyed, and because it's no longer being supported, that shouldn't go away. That multiplayer aspect shouldn't go away. Are the servers going to be worse? Yes, because my internet where I live sucks, and it is a terrible internet to run a server off of. But there are other people who have great servers who I would love to go in and join their gameplay. It can still work. It could still function. The same thing should happen with Highguard. Like, if it's not going to be supported, at least make it player to play, because it's like I think it's along the same lines as the Crew. Like, they were going to shut that down or whatever, and it's like, why? People are still playing it.
Well, they did shut it down. The problem with the Crew is the fact that it relied on having servers in the first place when it was primarily single player. And without the servers, even the single player doesn't work. And so, again, this is the age-old problem of when a multiplayer game shuts down, it's gone forever. And that's the problem. You have to make it possible to play the game that people spent time in, whether it's monetarily, like you bought it, or, you know, time-wise, because it was free to play, or you bought skins in the game. Now that money's just gone. There's no refunding. There's no talk of Highguard refunding anything if you spent money in that game. So there's the other problem, is they're just basically stealing people's money now. I'm not saying intentionally, but that's the nature of the beast.
That's what it feels like as a consumer.
Right. So I think that in order for your game to keep existing, and I've said this a million times, especially with, even Concord, I still think deserves to exist. It needs to be able to be played, especially if you spent money on it. Like Overwatch 1, the original Overwatch, not the bullshit now, but the original Overwatch was overwritten by Overwatch 2. And now they took the 2 off because they realized it was stupid. And now it's just Overwatch. And that makes sense because you literally got rid of the original game that I paid for. And so that's the other big issue. Same thing with The Crew. It was a single player game that for whatever reason they tied the servers into. And so now it's gone. They turned the servers off. Single player doesn't work anymore. That's retarded. So games have to stop doing this. They have to. If you don't stop making your games unplayable offline, your work that you spent years on, the art, the programming, everything goes away and nobody can touch it ever again. And I don't think that these developers, even if they didn't listen to their player base at all, I mean, they did, but nobody gave them proper feedback while it was in development. Nobody actually went up to them and said, this may not be actually a good idea because this market is oversaturated. This concept may not work. Here's what you need to do to change it. And this is why I gave Highguard such props, because a couple days after it launched, people were like, man, 5v5 would be cool. Boom, it's in the game.
Done. It was so quick.
In the game. It was quick. The turnaround in changes was so fast. I've never seen anything like it.
I was impressed. I couldn't believe it.
I got to support these guys. And so, I played it for a little bit and then it just kept going downhill and, just more and more negativity surrounded the game. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to last very long, and I'd like it to, but it's just not.
Is it worth your time anymore? Yeah, right. I hate this narrative. And Luke, as much as I like Luke Stevens, he had stated that developers shouldn't be blaming the consumer for the failure of a game. And I agree with that. But I also don't like not giving a game a chance based off of the narrative. There are a lot of people who depend on YouTubers' feedback or at least the news that they provide, and depending on what echo chamber they're in, it will determine whether or not they even try the game. Now, Highguard came out with lots of people playing the game initially, and then it plummeted. Is that an indicator that people gave it a chance? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve more time. To criticize a game and not allow it, like, should they have developed it more? Actually, not probably. Yes, they should have developed the game more before releasing it. Did Jeff Keighley bring more attention to it, meaning that there were going to be more players playing it? Yes. One could argue that if he had not done that, they wouldn't have gotten nearly as many players trying it. I don't know where I stand on that because that's a what-if scenario. I personally feel that regardless the narrative, if it's a game that seems mildly interesting to you, ignore the criticisms and try it yourself and decide for yourself whether or not it is worth your time. Assassin's Creed Shadows, I'm going on 250 hours on that game, and look how harshly it was criticized. I still love the gameplay. I still have my criticisms and my things that I would love to see them do better. But at this point, and not to segue too harshly into the Ubisoft side, with the changes going on in Ubisoft, I believe they are using Shadows as an opportunity to improve Hexa, which I learned is actually how it's pronounced.
Yeah, it's pronounced not Hexa,
because it's a German Salem witch trial thing going on. And that game's apparently not coming out till holiday 2027, so that game's already been in development for 7 years. But anyway, I gave Shadows a chance because, one, I am a fanboy, but two, I also just wanted to experience it myself. I haven't come across an Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I almost left the series because of Odyssey. I disliked it that much.
It wasn't great.
But the thing with Highguard is I saw a lot of potential there. I didn't even play the game, but I watched you play it. I watched Shroud play it. Hell, I even fucking watched Asmongold play it. I watched a lot of people play the game, and every single time I enjoyed what I was seeing. I said, wow, if they actually do this, or they do this, or they add these things in the future, like I could see this thing doing pretty well, but it's not even given the chance because of the global narrative around it.
Well, and the thing is that, you know, and something that Luke Stevens pointed out, of course, is the fact that, you know, as the Highguard developers so proudly pointed out, 2 million people gave it a shot. So it's not that people didn't give it a shot, but I do think that the narrative surrounding it was a big factor. Maybe not the main factor, but it was one of the biggest factors, is the reason why people didn't stick with it, because they listened to other people instead of playing it for themselves. And sure, maybe the people who got into the tutorial and then just never left the tutorial, maybe it really was just they got in, they didn't like what they were playing, and they just got out. That's fine. But I guarantee you more than half the people who didn't play it were listening to everybody but themselves. They didn't try it for themselves with a clear conscience and a clear head, going into it objectively and really trying to give it a shot. You know, I can appreciate the fact that 2 million people played it, and Lou Stevens and many other people are saying, oh, they gave it a shot. That's not really how that worked, in my opinion. They didn't give it a shot. If they didn't leave the damn tutorial, which took all of 5 minutes, that's not really giving the game a shot.
No,
I'm sorry. That's
like someone playing. That's like someone who plays Resident Evil Requiem, right, for the first 30 minutes, which, by the way, has a lot of cutscenes in it. Right? Has a lot of slow exploratory stuff. You don't even get to the real foundation of the game until like an hour and a half in or so.
Or like Metal Gear Solid 4 back in the day. It's a whole damn movie at the end of the game.
I feel, and I agree with you on this, that the greater majority, meaning more than 50% of the people who even tried the game, did it for the purpose of memeing and for the purpose and for the functional purpose of leaving a bad review. There had to be some evidence that they actually loaded up the game and tried it, and it was such shit. I couldn't even get it. It was so bad. Oh my god, I couldn't, man. It was just so bad that I couldn't even get through the tutorial. No, you didn't even give it a fair shake. You couldn't even get out of the tutorial to experience an actual match. Like, that is not giving it a fair shake. The tutorial has nothing to do with the core game at all. I agree with you wholeheartedly on this. It was for the memes, and it was to ride the hate train. That's what they did it for. And that is just gross. They didn't deserve this. The game, did it need work? Absolutely. But so many games today need work. They always need, especially if it's a live service. Look at Counter-Strike. They're still reiterating. They just redid another map, or not redid it, but like they had made changes. I think it was in Dust, if I remember correctly. They had made changes in Dust. Oh no, Mirage. Correction. They made changes in Mirage not that long ago, like maybe a couple months ago, like late last year, and they just made changes again to it. It's constantly changing, constantly reiterating. Metas are changing. They're trying to force changes in gameplay. That's the whole purpose of, anyway. It's just so annoying that the whole loving to hate mentality of the gamer player base today is disgusting.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that while I'm not absolving the developers of all their mistakes and all their missteps.
Certainly not.
We get that. They made some pretty bad decisions when it came to launching this game. I don't think Jeff Keighley putting it at the end of his show helped it at all. Granted, they may not have gotten 100,000 players day one, but they might have been able to get 100,000 players day 100. and they could have improved upon the game at that point when people started talking about it and there was not this negative aura around it from the very beginning. It was shot in the foot and left in the desert to die very, very slowly. And I just, I can appreciate, again, and again, this goes back to Marathon. The problem with Marathon is that I would give it a shot if it was a free-to-play game. I'm not spending $40 on a game that looks like something I wouldn't play. I'm already kind of extraction shootered out. Like, I played a couple. I don't really care. It is exhilarating in some cases, like Arc Raiders, but I even play Arc Raiders as just a co-op game. Like, I just want to go and do objectives. I don't care to run into people. But when we did run into people, Jeremy and I, it was fun. Yeah, it was chaotic. It was energetic. And that's, I get it. I get the hype around extraction shooters. It's like, oh shit, I might lose all this. But see, I kind of didn't give a shit because I went in with a free kit. So it's like, I just, I didn't lose anything really. I just have to load back in and go get that thing I needed for the objective again. And then there you go. So I would end up playing Arc Raiders as a co-op game anyway. That really doesn't matter to me. But the bottom line is, while I've not played a lot of extraction shooters, it's not a genre that I care too much about. At least with Highguard, they took a bunch of ideas. It may not have been a new idea, but they put a bunch of ideas together and made it new, if that makes sense. They took a bunch of ideas and tried to make something new. You know how hard it is to come up with a new IP that nobody's ever done before? Every single game is inspired by other games, hands down. And this whole narrative with certain games during development, it was toxic positivity. You're not allowed to mention Destiny or not allowed to mention this game or that. Why? What you're making is literally based on those games, so you might as well talk about it. Like with Anthem, that was the whole problem with Anthem, is that they were not allowed to talk about other games while they were developing. It's like, yeah, but Anthem is Destiny in third person. That's all you're doing, so you might as well take note of what Destiny did and just do that. But they didn't. They wanted so badly to make their own IP, a new IP, or they thought it was a new IP, that it created the game. So, this idea of not acknowledging where you're getting your inspiration from is retarded, and you need to stop. So, while this may not have been a new breed of shooter, it certainly tried to do something new with the shooter genre, and I appreciated it personally. I thought it was a lot of fun when I played it, and I'll be playing it this weekend. I'll do one last stream for it, and just to say my farewells like I did with Anthem. And I hope that the developers don't let this bring you down. I know it's your first go around. It's kind of a sad thing to see, but keep trying. I think next time, if you guys make another studio, try co-op. Co-op will do a lot better. Don't try and chase this live service thing. Live service is dying. We need to be aware of that. There's only a certain number of games that can do it at this point. Fortnite is up there at the highest. You got PUBG. You got those live service games that have already been in the game for this long. Leave it to them. Go do something else. Make a co-op game. Make a single player game, because you know what? Single player games still sell if they're really good. And Resident Evil Requiem is a perfect example of that. Especially with the indie scene. Good Lord. The indie scene's been popping off like nobody else. But moving on to, I don't know, I swear I just made this notes list and I feel like you're reading off the page. Ubisoft Assassin's Creed update. Chris, you told me and I wet my pants because I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So take it away.
Ubisoft, I think, is okay. I feel like Tim the Tap Man saying, but this time, guys, it could be different. It could be different.
I didn't know that was a thing he said.
That's what Tim the Tap Man says that about every Call of Duty. Guys, I know it was bad.
No, it's
but this
bad.
Time,
no, Call of Duty has not been different for the last 6 years.
But that's why I'm saying I kind of feel like that. because the direction Ubisoft is going, for anyone who is not following what's going on with Ubisoft, they have clearly done a huge disservice to not only the players, not only to the IPs, but also to the shareholders. The shareholders weren't happy with the outcomes of Ubisoft's products. As a consequence, Yves Guillemot was under great scrutiny, and essentially forced into a position where the shareholders said, something needs to happen or you're gone. Well, the Guillemot family has there are 4 brothers, and they started Ubisoft, and they have maintained their ownership of it, but Tencent is now involved. And with Tencent being involved, that means they have to have some stake in Ubisoft, not just financial, but they also now have responsibility over 3 major IPs, Far Cry, Division, and Assassin's Creed.
Rainbow Six.
Oh, and Rainbow Six. 4. Apologies.
Didn't realize they also had Division.
Yeah. So with that being said, for me, as a nerd and obsessed fanboy of Assassin's Creed, there's a lot of potential good coming in the future. Mark Alexis Cotier, although having been a veteran of the Assassin's Creed team, I'm kind of glad he's gone, because he was kind of, as far from what I recall, he was leading the recent direction of Ubisoft titles, and clearly it hasn't been received very well. But they started bringing back people from the old era, from the Ezio trilogy to games beloved like Black Flag, Origins, Valhalla. People who have worked on those games, they're bringing back into the fray. Martin Schelling has been named head of the Assassin's Creed brand. He's going to be focused on the long-term overall vision and strategy of where Assassin's Creed is going to be going. I believe he worked on Origins, Black Flag. I think he was on Revelations. Those games were beloved. They're bringing back a guy named Jean Gouzdon, I think is how you might pronounce it.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
He's head of content. I believe he was also on Black Flag and Origins. There's a guy named, I'm going to butcher this, Francois Debly. He's going to be head of production. I believe he also was on Origins.
Shocker, people, Valhalla. We don't speak French. So,
but these guys were part of beloved titles, and even you say, and I say, we both agree, Origins is the best RPG.
It was the pinnacle of the whole RPG genre. Franchise.
And there is no one who will deny that Black Flag, some will say it was peak. I think Unity was peak in terms of Assassin's Creed. Maybe not in storytelling. The story I still think was good, but in terms of gameplay, I think Edward Kenway was just so well beloved, on the same level of Ezio. And I think that's where a lot of the nostalgia comes in. So you bring in these 3 guys. Martin Schelling, I believe, had left the company and come back. I don't think Jean or Francois left. I'd have to fact check that. But I definitely know Martin Schelling was one who had left, and he came back, and they brought him back. I don't think he asked to come back. I think they brought him back.
Probably paid him a pretty penny too.
And if this is true, like if they are bringing back these guys, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, this is a good sign. They had a vision of what Assassin's Creed was at its core. This is the good storytelling. This is, a good foundation of narrative, not just the storytelling, but the narrative and how it's portrayed. The pillars of the core game mechanics, which include parkour, which include combat, which include stealth. I think these things they're going to bring back in a very big way. It's even more relevant that they finally admitted to the worst kept secret in all gaming history, Black Flag Resync. I can't wait. They are going to be making, or they have made the remake of Black Flag on the newest engine of Anvil, which is what Shadows was built on. So we're going to see that vision of Black Flag upgraded into this new Anvil engine, and I can't wait for that. What's even more relevant is that some of the stuff, some of the projects that have been pushed back were a consequence of the decisions made by Martin, Jean, and Francois. From what I understand, fact checking in near future, I'm going to keep my eyes on this. But things were pushed back because the vision of Hexa and a couple of the other games were not necessarily meeting the standards that they have for the Assassin's Creed genre. Now, if this is true, if all of this is true, and that information and people are not being misinformed, I have optimism once again for the Assassin's Creed series.
Well, when you bring back some of the OGs who worked on some of the most beloved games in the franchise, I think it's safe to say that they have the right idea. I think that certainly one of those good steps is updating Unity to run at 60 FPS. Like when you told me that Syndicate got an update, I was floored. Syndicate's my favorite. Next to number 2. Number 2 is my all-time favorite. Syndicate is my close second favorite because I just love the setting. I love the characters. And it was when Origins is the last time they actually did proper cutscenes. But it's just, it's so refreshing to see that they realize that, oh, it seems as though people are going out of their way to buy the disc of Unity so they could play it at 60 FPS, even if it has all the bugs. We might as well just update it. So they're doing something right with the games that people love to play. Unity was a fantastic game. And apparently it's even better in co-op. So we're definitely going to play that, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I never got a chance to play co-op in that game. So apparently it's very good. So we'll play that. And we'll probably do it on stream, to be honest. So subscribe if you want to see that. I never do a plug, by the way. But if you want to see us play Assassin's Creed, Unity, and co-op, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to his channel, anybody's channel. Subscribe to everybody's channel. Let's just do that, just so you know when we go live. So I think it's a fantastic step to take.
But they're doing more than just with Assassin's Creed. I brought to your attention the Division 2 thing.
Oh, dude, the realism mode is so cool.
That was so cool to watch you play it, because God knows I'm not at that point in the Division 2, and I've told Fergie about it. I told her about how you had streamed that, and she's like, oh, shit, I got to go back and watch that. They're still doing things for the Division 2. That's great. They're
almost
bringing back
10 years
Rayman.
on.
Ubisoft is bringing back Rayman, which we saw at the Sony State of Play. And they've spoken about the different Assassin's Creed projects like Jade that's in the works and a couple of the other ones that are still on the table. So they're acknowledging that those still exist and that we're not losing those. And then the other thing is there is now, and because Ubisoft can't keep anything secret, talks of Watch Dogs coming back.
Legion was definitely
not even Legion.
No, I'm
a whole different thing.
I'm just saying Watch Dogs Legion was not well received. Not like number 2. I personally think number 1 was a great game. I don't know why people people hate on Aiden Pierce as a character. I think he had far more character in him than the goody two shoes happy go lucky team of number 2. Like, it was so stupid.
I watched someone today, and they equated Aiden Pierce's story in Chicago to that of Batman. And of course, the Batman Arkham series took place in Gotham that was designed after Chicago, so it makes sense. But the gloominess, the realism of Aiden Pierce, the experience he had in his vendetta against the people that did this to him. That was real. You look at Watch Dogs 2, which I had started playing. That's based in what was it, California?
Yeah,
if I
San
remember
Francisco.
correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was based off of an imagination of San Francisco, and it's very gadgety. It's
Yeah.
very gadgety.
Which
Though one
is
of the
fine.
biggest criticisms that Legion took, there's two huge criticisms that I think are justifiable. There's no main protagonist, which means you can't connect with the characters, right? And they reduced the technological gadgetry of being able to hack into stuff and simplified the system. People didn't like that. People didn't like how simplistic the hacking mechanic became, because that's Watch Dogs' identity.
Yeah.
The hacking system.
Right. Well, and that it's funny you say that, because the first game, people are like, there's not enough to the hacking. The second game was more like what people wanted, and now the third game is like, it doesn't have enough hacking again. So it's like they just did this weird arc, and it's like, guys, why are you changing what people like? Personally, again, I played through Watch Dogs 2. The characters were so insufferable.
Yeah. I like the guy with the mask.
Yeah, he was the typical I'm the comedian of the group sort of thing. But it was just like, we're a bunch of cool college kids and we're taking down the corporation. Like, oh my God, shoot me in the face.
They were going with that narrative of fighting back against the media and all that misinformation and stuff. And they wanted to fight against that. Like, fine, whatever. As long as the gameplay is fun. I think the gameplay was fun, but there was really no connecting with the characters, especially the main protagonist. I think his name was Marcus, if I remember correctly. I didn't really find any attachment to him. He just kind of was hired into DedSec for his skill and nothing else. And all the other characters they didn't really touch me or affect me in a way that I cared for them. Not like Aiden. Aiden's story was just so unique. And was it strange that he could go from being the uncle that he was to then becoming a person who can just hack into anything? Yeah, it's a little weird. But if you look past that, it's the story presentation that's what was catchy.
Well, it took place over a couple years. It's like within a couple years he could learn a thing or two about how to hack, especially in that time period when it took place, and it made more sense because he had a reason. Whereas in Watch Dogs 2, it was just them fighting the system but being happy about it. Like, you're seeing Marcus going around killing people and he's not affected by it at all. Like, have you killed people before? Whereas Aiden Pierce probably killed a few people along his journey of becoming what he was. So he was used to it. When you got to playing as him and he's killing people left and right, it's no big deal to him because he's done it before. Whereas Marcus, he just acts like a hacker college student where he has admittedly a cool weapon where it's a pool ball on the end of a rope, which could easily kill somebody. But you can use weapons in that game, and he's killing people, and he's not fazed by it. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then Legion's like, I haven't played Legion. I have it. I actually am kind of excited to get around to playing that because I like the idea, but like you said, there's no main character, so you kind of just not connecting. Not that you can't stick with one character, though. It's not advised given the gameplay style, but I'm going to try and do that where I pick a character and I stick with them and leave it at that.
But the problem is that once they die, they're gone.
That too. So you do a save before you die.
Facts. Loophole.
There you go.
I also watched another video today related to the discussion around what led to Ubisoft's downfall around the Assassin's Creed franchise. What you've heard this debate back and forth, the new Assassin's Creed generation and the old Assassin's Creed generation. And the new Assassin's Creed generation are saying that the old players, the ones who love the original franchise as it was, they say you're living in nostalgia. The games today are mechanically better. They're just better, bar none. You will not find a single fan of Assassin's Creed to say that the mechanics of the games have improved, but the core of Assassin's Creed is gone. The reason why the old games and why us original adopters of the franchise, the reason why we think so fondly of the previous titles is because of the story presentation. I keep harping on this, but this is what people were drawn into. Why was Ezio so beloved? Because it's what he said without saying the words. He could make grunts, noises. They even used mocap to capture certain micro expressions on his face that expressed exactly what he was thinking without having to say it. A lot of the games today in the franchise are now just simply telling you what they're thinking and what they're feeling rather than being suggestive. This is why when you look at games like Red Dead Redemption 2, you can tell when the main character, I'm blanking on his name,
Arthur Morgan.
Yes, when he says something like right, his tone and physical presentation of just saying the word right will tell you exactly what he means when he says that. Do I trust this person? Do I not trust this person? Do I believe them or not? Do they have good intentions? Am I skeptical, or do I hate this person, or do I agree with them? Like, you can tell without him saying, right, I don't believe you. You haven't given me any reason to believe you. Why should I believe you? Let's have a discussion and let's use these stupid RPG narrative mechanics to really like, that's what Ubisoft has become.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just, and the sad part is it's not just video games that have done that, but apparently movies have done that too, and TV shows. It's the Netflix curse, essentially, where I found this out recently, where they purposely write their scripts in a way that constantly repeat what's happening to the user, because they know people kind of fade off into their phones every once in a while they're watching, because they got no attention span, so they're not sitting there for 45 minutes watching an episode like straight on. They're just going to their phones, and so when they come back from the La La Land in their phone into reality of watching the TV, to watching the TV show, then at that time the character repeats what's happening, so the person's never lost. And I'm like, that is so pathetic. That is such lazy storytelling. And then the people like us who can pay attention for 45 minutes to an hour on an episode of a TV show, we're like, we know. Why do you keep saying that? So
redundancy isn't going to help you here.
Yeah, and so it's the same thing, it sounds like, with the way Ubisoft has taken the direction of most of their games, which is just to repeat, as like Bo Burnham once said in his one song, repeat stuff. Just repeat stuff. And it's like, it's become that.
I think that there are certain characters in gaming history that are iconic for a reason. Arthur Morgan, Nathan Drake, Kratos, Joel. These guys, why were they so good? What was, like, if you look at Joel in The Last of Us, in the very first game, and you look at how he went from being a loving father to losing his daughter, and then the experience, that the sheer character shift from the start of the game, when he was a father, to losing his daughter, to then running into Ellie. Very huge character shift, and he barely had to say anything.
And it's also like, I don't have any kids, but it's relatable. Like, he's a relatable character.
And if you listen to Kratos during was it 2018 when that came out, he didn't have to say all the words. And then in Ragnarok, and this is just based on what I heard, apparently that kind of changed and he started speaking more rather than leaving things left unsaid.
I heard about that, yeah.
So when you shift from forcing the player to listen to narrative fluff rather than watching the character naturally engage in a conversation where not all words have to be said, but you can feel it, you take away this connectivity with the character. It softens everything, and it makes it less intense, makes it less meaningful and memorable. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And Ubisoft has done this with Assassin's Creed. Like, it's just horrible.
Because it doesn't trust, there's no trust put into the player to put things together. That's the problem. And that goes with the whole attention span problem that we have in society these days. Kids are just, the shorts are popular for a reason. TikTok's popular for a reason. And by the way, I just looked up both God of War games. They both have at least 3,000 to 4,000 players still playing them right now, which is crazy. So single player games are dead, ? So I think that's obviously the biggest issue. And think about this. I saw a side-by-side, obviously, and I knew this is obviously a thing, but you take a look at cutscenes in Assassin's Creed 2 from 2009 to cutscenes in current, from Odyssey onward, when they stopped doing cutscenes, the animation in 2009 was more expressive than anything Ubisoft has produced in the last, so almost 10 years.
And that's the fun. It's funny that you bring that up, because back then those cutscenes, despite the low fidelity, they still used mocap during cutscenes.
And the facial animations,
did away with that.
They did facial animations in 2009 that were way better.
So and for Ubisoft to say it's way too expensive to mocap everything,
it's a lie.
I'm sorry.
It's a lie.
Expedition 33.
Oh yeah.
Can we talk about how cheap they used a fucking phone? A phone.
I mean, Corridor Digital, they do it all the time. They show that anybody can do that kind of stuff now.
So what's the excuse?
Yeah, they have none.
Even if you're saying it's too expensive to do mocap, fine. Don't go full mocap. Do the phone mocap. That any kind of motion capture at this point for Ubisoft will be a boon. Look at okay, you may not have done it, but played it yet. But the DLC for Mirage that was recently dropped, which by the way wasn't expected, and another indication that Ubisoft may be catering back to the audience. The DLC, regardless how short it was for Mirage, I believe it was motion captured, and it was so good.
Yeah, I think you mentioned. I remember you mentioning something about that, and luckily Mirage became free on PlayStation Plus, so I have it in my library.
Yeah,
and I'll play it at some point.
I personally think the base game, the story of Basim, I think it's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful story. There are some dull parts, certainly, but I think it was a wonderful story. But the DLC had people, regardless of its brevity, it still had people entranced because of how well it was performed and how well it was captured. You actually see facial animations without narrative, and you can tell how Basim is feeling, how his dad was feeling, and with the music lifting and everything, the moment was so beautiful that you pause and you're like, that was old Ubisoft magic right there.
And for them to then turn around with, and I'm pretty sure it's a different team, but Assassin's Creed Shadows Attack on Titan crossover was absolutely fucking garbage. Like
I only played through that out of the necessity for me to complete the game. That was so bad. Yakai going,
yeah. Well, it's just even just the guy who turned into a Titan. Like, what the fuck was that?
I mean, to be fair,
that's so universally not good.
To be fair, the Titan movement resembled that of the show.
Yeah, sure. Just have somebody run like a fucking retard.
That was the only time. That was the only time they showed the Titan, and then the main female character, who was supposed to be one of these soldiers that fights Titans. From what I think it's speculative, so I'm not going to say that this is fact. But if you look at the character model, it's almost as if they were originally making it a male and then just shifted it to female, threw long hair on the male and gave it tits and then called it a day. There is no feminine facial characteristic feature anything on that character model whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. Well, I just, that whole thing was just, it made no sense universe wise. It was fucking retarded. But overall, the fact that they're even giving love to the older titles, and I will stand my ground on this, Origins was the last time they did proper cutscenes. Bayek was one of the best characters they ever made. Period. Hands down.
Still is.
And
Ezio?
It's the last time they did fire really well.
What the fuck was that, man? Like, I still don't get it.
Well, you look at Origins fire on a torch, and then you go right to Odyssey, and you're like, this is not the same company. There's no way.
Different teams, surely. No, different teams, surely. But this is why. This is one of this particular fire example is not one of the reasons, but it's a good argument for why Ubisoft is deciding to unify efforts for the franchise rather than separating it between multiple teams, because there is such a disconnect. You go from one game like Origins and then you go to Odyssey and you're like, wow, why did these things change from Origins to Odyssey? Well, it's because the two teams weren't sharing information with each other. They were each competing against each other rather than working together to make a uniform universe. One that's cohesive, one that's understandable. So you have these deviations from all over the place. But you're entirely right. Bayek he is completely underrated in some regards because people don't look at Origins. Well, it took years for people to look at Origins and be like, actually, you know what? That was a fantastic RPG. But you know what led people to view Origins as a fantastic RPG? Because of the tragedy that was Odyssey, Valhalla, and Shadows. Like, I don't think that Valhalla was a tragedy. God, I almost have 500 hours into that game, and I'm about to do a new game plus on it. Well, I can't do a new game plus. I have to do a different save file, but you know what I mean. I loved Valhalla, but I didn't love Valhalla as an Assassin's Creed game. I loved it as a Viking game, and I love Shadows as a ninja game, but I don't see it as an Assassin's Creed game. But yeah, anyway.
Odyssey the same way.
Oh, Odyssey is it's even as an RPG, I don't see how people enjoy it. But there are very few protagonists in the series that you can really say are beloved. Altair, of course, Grandmaster, best, like not the best, but like he changed. The Brotherhood wouldn't exist if he had not changed the fundamental core of it. But then you have the charismatic personalities of Ezio and Arno.
Arno,
you have
so underrated.
You have Edward, who is so fucking stoic. Like, he's just a fucking badass. Then you have Bayek, who is his voice acting, I would even say, at times exceeds that of Ezio's.
Yeah, Bayek's voice actor is very well done. He's very good. Yeah, I mean, it's just overall good to see that Ubisoft brought back some very strong developers, and hopefully we see a turn for the better, because Unity getting a 60 FPS patch, Syndicate getting I'm hoping they go back as far as the Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy, which was released on PS4. It's still locked at 30. They need to unlock that shit and bring it up to 60, because I love that game. I've not played that version. I can't tell you if the controls feel good or not, but I know that with these types of games, 60 FPS is not necessary, but it's kind of nice to have. And I just want to point out that Slay the Spire is number 3 on the Steam database charts. So single player games still rule. It's doing 275,000 players right now. That is literally over twice that of Marathon. So tell me that single player games are doing bad. Tell me, because I'd like to know.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie unless you're view botting.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain Slay the Spire is actually a single player game, right? Like it's a roguelike.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a roguelike. It does have multiplayer, but it's probably like co-op. Yeah, it's co-op. But it's a single player game essentially. Anyway, so that's everything. A lot has happened in just the last month or so, and
there's stuff we still haven't even touched upon. But
yeah,
we could say that for another time.
You know, we got people keep fucking up. We're gonna be able to have a lot of content for days and weeks and months and maybe years to come. The industry is not going anywhere, and neither are we. But let us know what you guys thought about all the topics in the comments down below. Are we right? Are we wrong? We're here for open criticism of anything that you guys may or may not have agreed with or disagreed with. Let us know in the comments down below. We appreciate any and all feedback. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. And please join us again in the next one, whenever that might be. I promise this is going to start. We're going to start releasing them a little bit more frequently than we have. A year is a little too long. So we're going to get back on the horse, and hopefully you guys will be there along for the ride. But for Chris, I'm Adam Wolf, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.